Hi everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to make another video after my last one to give you guys an update on how Lily has been doing. Um, Unfortunately, things haven't been going that great, but she is still with us, so that is the good news. And I just kind of want to take you kind of through where we left off. So anyways, where we left off, she was about to turn 13, and she did. We celebrated her birthday. It was a great day. She was doing really well. We got her puppuccino, and we got her a new bobo, and she was really happy and excited and was just doing really great. So we were very thankful and blessed that we were able to celebrate that day with her. So it was a day we didn't think we would get to see. So that is the positive news. She continued actually to do pretty well the rest of April. The biggest problem was the cough that she had. And we were just trying, different things to try to see what we could do to help with that. And then she ended up having nasal issues again, which is how this whole thing started basically, is where she had nasal discharge, green nasal discharge, and actually it started again with just a tiny bit of blood in her nose I saw. And I thought, well, that was strange. So I ended up trying to contact the vet, the one that I was not having good communication with. And it took about 12 hours to even hear back from her. And she seemed to think that it was just inflammation or coming from the tumor. And she wasn't too concerned about it, but told me to up the Serenia again, which I did. But unfortunately, things got worse. I also found out that she was out of town, so she was not of much help to us. But anyways, the very first part of May, this is when this started, and it just kind of went from that, and it got way worse. The green came back in her nose again, and at that point, she pretty much stopped eating. You could tell she was just in a lot of pain. And I didn't have the option for that vet to come because she was out of town, and so I decided to try the holistic vet, who I had basically couldn't get her to even speak to me, but I thought I would try and see if she might be able to help us. And the only thing that she recommended, she wouldn't even help us. The only thing she said, in fact it wasn't even her, was her office staff, was for us to take her to the ER. And there was no way I was going to do that to her, because I know exactly what they were going to do. They were just going to tell me there was no hope, and I wasn't going to stress her out. So I made the decision to finally call Caring Pathways. That was some place that I had on my list as my last resort option. They basically have palliative, hospice, and then end of life. And I just decided it was time that, if anybody was going to help me, I was praying that it was going to be them. So, the biggest problem, of course, once again, was communication with the vets I was using. It's just horrible. And follow-up. So anyways, I called them, and thankfully they were able to come out the next day. And it turns out it was the vet that I had used prior, a long time ago. She actually went to work for them years ago, and that's how I knew about the place to begin with. So thankfully she came, and that morning, it was the Friday morning, I think was like the beginning of May, that first Friday in May, and I really thought it was the end for her. I really did. She wasn't eating, she was barely moving. It was really, really bad. But when the vet showed up, she went to the door, she greeted her, and she perked up, and it was just like mind-blowing. In a good way, of course, but also very confusing. So anyways, we evaluated her, we talked about it, and we decided that we would try a few more things and see if we could get her back and get her some more time. And one of which, of course, was pain management, to try and get her pain under control. Put her back on antibiotic, and get her eating again. So anyways, the only thing I could get her to eat, believe it or not, was the puppuccino. It was better than nothing. But we finally, the next day, she wasn't eating again. And then I ended up getting this appetite booster. I've used it for her before. And thankfully, that brought her back, and we got her eating again. And I think also maybe the pain meds and stuff started kicking in, and a lot of it was pain. So basically we did that, and we got her back and she was doing better. But unfortunately, she had the cough. Well, actually, the good news is that we finally figured out a cough medicine to use for her, which actually has like like a decongestant in it too, so it works on her nose as well. And started giving her that, and that actually got the cough almost 95% better, which was great. I mean, we finally had one problem solved. But unfortunately, the nasal issues continued and continued to deal with that. And so then the green stuff came back in her nose again. And the weird thing is that the tumor is on her right tonsil, but the nasal problem is in her left nostril, which is just bizarre to me. And a big part of me sits here and says, and in my gut says, it's spring again, and this is allergy time. And it seems to me like this could be something allergy related and maybe not even have anything to do with the tumor, because this is the same time of year when this started last year, and the nasal stuff cleared up in the fall. So, racked our brains and stuff, and thankfully this vet has been great and talked and, checks on us, and I have 24/7 contact with her, and we're able to communicate and bounce things off of each other and try to figure it out. And we got this cough medicine, and that took care of the cough, and that was great. But unfortunately, the nasal stuff seemed to get worse, and the biggest problem with it is nighttime. And literally just sleeping through the night has just been hell. I can get her to sleep for about an hour, and then you can just hear her sinuses starting to clog up, and then she goes into this horrendous backward sneezing. I mean, it's almost sounds like a chainsaw. It's so bad, and it just scares me to death, and then it wakes me up out of a sound sleep, and it wakes her up out of a sound sleep, and it's just awful. But on top of that, about a week ago, I noticed that she started having problems chewing on the right side of her mouth, and actually I noticed a discharge coming out again. Not just more like a clear, like mucusy kind of phlegm stuff, which turns her white fur brown. So it's really hard to keep it clean. But I noticed she was kind of pushing the food off to the left side, and she wasn't really eating on the right, and that was like really odd because she never had that problem before. And I just continued to watch it, and then it just kind of kept getting worse. And I noticed that when she would try to eat, you could see her like moving her right ear. You could tell she turns her head, and you can tell it's painful. I mean, it's so hard to watch. It kills me. Just trying to get the food down. I mean, it's just horrible. But after the first 1 or 2 bites, it gets better. And I've taken to feeding her with a baby spoon, because it's really hard for her to pick up the food now. And I also noticed her tongue isn't working that great either. So that kind of makes us think that the tumor has gotten worse, which is of course not what we want to hear or want to have happen. But it's just so frustrating, because you go get one problem under control and then something else happens. But anyways, I stopped most of the supplements. The only thing I'm still giving her now, is the turkey tail mushroom and the probiotic. And I did add back in some of the milk thistle, because I thought maybe that had something to do with the allergy, but I'm not seeing much of a difference. I also tried to add in something called Onco Support, but I thought that might have been making things worse, so I took that out too. Also, we basically are just at our wit's end as far as trying how to stop these backward sneezing. That seems to just be the worst right now. Cough medicine helps some, but it's just a matter of getting through the night at this point. So what we've decided to do is stop the piroxicam for 3 days, and then put her on steroids, and hope that maybe that's the answer. I mean, it's a risk. I just pray that stopping the piroxicam doesn't make things worse for the next few days, and that the steroids of prednisone will actually help, and then not, make her suppress her immune system even more. But at this point, I'm not really sure what else to do. The other thing I'm looking into doing is finding a stronger CBD THC combo. I've been told to try something called FICO. It is very complicated, And I've been in touch with a couple places that sell it, one of which is like super, super expensive, and unfortunately I just cannot afford it. But I'm waiting for a call back from another place, and I mean, I've heard really good things about using this in dogs. I wish I would have known about this kind of a product before. I just hope it's not too late. You know, we're still trekking along. You know, she's still here. We're still, you know, just trying to get through each day, but it's hard as a roller coaster. I mean, 1 minute she's up and 1 minute she's down. I mean, it's like, you know, night and day. It's crazy. It's totally crazy. But anyways, I mean, at least I have a vet right now, fingers crossed, who is continuing to help me and be in contact and communicate with me, and that's a huge part of the battle. I stopped the artemisinin. I had tried the tea a couple of times right before all this fell apart. I'm not sure if it had anything to do with it or not. I'm not saying it did or it didn't, but I figured, you know, it wasn't worth continuing with it at that point since things had gotten so bad. I know it seems to have helped some people. There's just so many different thoughts on it and how to use it. It's just really hard to get the right information. But so anyways, so basically, you know, I have her on gabapentin 3 times a day. Cerenia, still I'm trying, you know, kind of more as needed again. And then, you know, I've upped the CBD THC combo that I have. I know it's not strong enough, but I am able to give it to her a couple of times a day instead of just at night. And then we use these cough medicine pills as needed. But if we could just figure out something for these backwards sneezing episodes and to get her through the night, that's what I need to happen right now. But anyways, I just wanted to update you guys, and I just wanted to show you, well, I would like to show you what she looks like. Lillian, 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 Lillian. Well, she's asleep, but she is here. She's doing well sometimes she's not, but we're still moving forward, and I'm still hoping and praying to find something to get through this problem and something to stop the progression of this cancer, if that's what has happened. So anyways, that's it. If you guys have any questions or you need any help with your animal that's going through this, please don't hesitate to reach out. And hopefully I can continue to update you and be back next month with more to share then. So thanks for watching.